First question is?
Well, we've really gone from 30,000 feet when we're looking at this larger view of a philosophy of really web design and web development, down below ground level into the code and into how to build that site below. So really, as you're building a site, you're thinking about not just the marketing message, but you're thinking about search engine optimization right from the get-go. One of the questions, and it came in when I was doing the presentation, the part that I was doing, that when I was talking about being important, confident, and a leader, creating a dialogue, what do you want the reader to do, had any of these theories been usability tested? In fact, a lot of them have in a number of different ways. For example, eye tracking studies prove that people go to headlines and pictures, and headlines and pictures together are the most powerful pull into content on a site, and that they don't start reading right away. They scan first. All of this is borne out by eye tracking studies that are related to web studies. This becomes particularly important when B2C businesses are trying to gain more traction on their pages from their consumers, and thus they will test different sizes of headlines, different placements, different relationships, different offers, just as we used to do in the direct mail days in print, and where those things show up on the page really bear out the same eye tracking studies that we saw before in terms of plain old content, how people respond to content. Other analytical proof, I believe, that the theories bear fruit is that on our own site, and we've done this with our client sites as well, is that by paying attention to these kinds of studies and looking at our Google Analytics, we've been able to improve site stickiness and page views. So people are spending more time on the site when we respond to, we'll go in and make the changes to design in the site. This is pure design, that's all. Pure design changes that will improve a reader's understanding of why they're at the site. As Gayatri talked about, that handshake, that friendly handshake coming out. That person needs to see that hand extended. If they come to a site, they don't know why they're there, they bail. So that's yet another form of proof into how people behave. You can go offline and pay attention to a lot of studies in terms of plain language and graphical use and see that this information is also reinforced by those kinds of reader studies as well.
We got another question, which is how can a firm best organize itself to effectively maintain its online presence? How much and resources are required, for example? All of this seems like a full-time job. I think that's a great question. I think this is what a lot of organizations are struggling with. We're going to actually speak in great detail about this in our next webinar, Pioneering the Digital Relationship, next week. We encourage you to tune in. Managing all of the digital channels and tactics can actually be handled in a really effective way. There are a number of technology tools out there that can be utilized so that you are able to manage your content and parse it out across various channels easily. So for example, there are plugins that you can use on various social networks such as Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook if that's relevant for your business. And you can basically set it up so that the feeds of your content that you have on your blog can be posted across all 3 channels. And that helps you to reduce the amount of time needed in maintaining all of those profiles. That being said, someone needs to be monitoring your profiles, but monitoring does not need to be a full-time job. Go ahead.
We gave in December, and I think in November, we had a webinar that used a pyramid as a metaphor for how to approach your web site and web design. And the first thing was to develop a brand. What's the point of bringing people to your site? When they get there, they don't know why they're there or what they're doing. The second thing is to make your site, differentiate your site. from the next competitor, so that when they get there, they know why you're different from the other people that they're checking out at the very, very same time. And then you move up that pyramid towards optimization, which was the next step on the ladder, using Google AdWords. And we're talking about optimization today because that's a place, if you're limited in resources, that you really want to focus some activity. It's also gratefully one of those areas that you can, in no small measure, outsource, although obviously it does require attention internally, and that's important. As you get further up the social media, in other words, if you haven't done those things first, created a brand, differentiated your firm, paid attention to search engine optimization, then you're not going to gain a whole heck of a lot of traction with your social media and the like as your first line of effort, because it's going to be tough to get professionals to participate, and that really does require that you jump in with both feet. So what we're trying to do is help people organize their time, but recognize that that the world has changed. It's no longer, I believe as we said last week, it's no longer about just having a website. It's about having a web presence, and it's a vastly different universe we have to pay attention to. So firms are undercommitting time, dollars, other resources to really sustaining an effective web presence. I believe that today we saw that ABC News was cutting its reporting force by 25% to focus on its online and digital. They were sending out what they call digital reporters, folks with a little handheld camera that takes movies or photographs, etc. Those are responses of practical businesses to a changed world, and we all need to pay attention to that.
I agree. That's a really good example there, real-time example. And I think what we're seeing is that marketing directors and business development directors at organizations are needing to expand their toolkit to be able to manage digital tactics and digital channels. And as you mentioned earlier, there are tools that enable you to do it, but being able to sort of manage a more diverse and varied constellation of elements within your marketing mix and your Marcom strategy is really what's needed today. I think it's also important, too, that your strategy and your brand and your voice need to be able to work across those channels, and making sure that you've developed the assets that enables you to be in all of those channels from the get-go, doing it right the first time, really will go